climate change is not a problem for another generation, not anymore. That's why on Monday, my administration will release the final version of America's Clean Power Plan, the biggest, most important step we've ever taken to combat climate change.
Sun is one of the low-hanging fruits of the Clean Power Plan. Sun provides over 1,000 times more energy than the world needs in a year. Yet, utility-scale solar power currently makes up less than 1% of the total US electricity generation. Small-scale solar installations have been a tiny player in the energy markets, but things are changing. Rooftop solar and community solar gardens could help individual states comply with the Clean Power Plan.
So we have 200 installations right now in Allegheny County. We want to double the amount of solar in Allegheny County in 2 years. In Pennsylvania, we're about the 12th leading solar state in the nation. We used to be number 3 or 4, but we're kind of falling behind as other states have better policies than we do. You know, Connecticut in 2 years did solarize 1,900 projects, and that's all residential projects that went up in just 2 years. And so for the next 20 weeks, we're going to be in these communities trying to talk to people about solar and give you information about how you can go solar with your home or your business.
I don't know if our house is suitable. If our house is vaguely suitable, I think we're pretty interested. But it's not solely my decision, obviously.
I wasn't sure she was serious at first. There aren't that many houses around here, or there weren't that many houses around here with solar, so it seemed like a little bit of a crazy thing to be doing.
Solar cannot work here in cloudy western Pennsylvania, and it's absolutely not true. But Germany is the leading solar nation, more solar than China, the United States, any other country. They get about as much sun, and actually a little less than parts of Alaska. And so our tagline is solar makes sense, because it makes sense for lots of reasons and different reasons for different people. One, it could be it makes financial sense. The prices come down so much that it's actually more than half of what it was just 10 years ago. What I always say too to people is the cost of doing nothing, is not going solar, is about $25,000 to $35,000 over the next 25 years that you're going to be handing Duquesne Light. The cost of going solar, then, if you get an average, we'll say 5 kilowatt system, is a very average Pennsylvania system. Yours could be smaller or larger, and so that's about $20,000 for the system. It's almost like renting or owning a home. It's renting or owning your electricity is now where we are. We know from solar homes around the nation that homeowners are recouping the cost of this investment when they sell their home. So then, of course, we have the environment too. Here, our air quality is some of the worst in the nation. So when we replace a watt with clean energy, the dirty energy you have now with a watt of clean energy, that has huge economic and health benefits to our region, much greater than it does in a place like Arizona.
Izzy, what are your thoughts about going solar in our house?
I think it's a really good idea because it saves a lot of electricity that we buy, and it lowers the electricity bill. So now we are signing the contract.
Okay.
We're on the roof, and we're looking at where our solar panels are going to be, which is right on this roof.
We need to be looking beyond the usual paradigm of that customer is getting electricity for free because they're a solar customer, because they're a solar owner. It's really not that case. That customer is actually providing a service to the grid that has a real dollar value beyond what they're getting paid. The utility has to pay less money, so then the ratepayers pay less money, and then there's this tremendous benefit to doing that.
We are installing the first Solarize project in Point Breeze today. So we actually have two projects that are side by side.
Oh yeah, we got a couple. Yeah, we definitely need at least 3 others.
Do you have any 14s up here?
When you tell people you're a solar panel installer, they kind of give you a wow look,
And what this eventually will be used, because this is a 15 panel string, is for data tracking. So you'll be able to go online and make sure that each of your panels are working properly, and you'll be able to see how the shading and the angle of sun all play a part in how your production is going.
What made you decide to go solar?
Well, I've always kind of been a fairly environmentally minded person, and so the concept of renewable energy is one that I feel pretty strongly about. And if you believe in it, why don't you act upon that?
How big part of your electricity will the solar provide?
It should provide, across the year, 80% of what we use right now.
And how much are you paying for the system?
After the tax credits, it's around about $17,000.
Laws and regulations on all levels, federal, state, and municipalities, can either speed up or slow down the transition to renewable energy and energy efficiency. Some regulators are concerned that a rapid transition to renewable energy could cause grid congestion and problems with grid reliability.
Those are sort of problems that can be solved before we ever get to a point of solar saturation where they would ever be an issue. We should not tolerate changes to net metering rules or fees for solar energy or additional fees on solar customers. We shouldn't be tolerating talk of those kinds of policies.
But we have the same design. We're coming completely on the outside with the DC. Down in here, converting to AC, measuring it.
From the minute I signed that piece of paper, everything's been sorted for me. They're going to hand over a folder with all the information I need. Dead simple from my point of view.
Right now, our relationship between the city and the contractors are becoming much more cohesive. And we're trying to be as cooperative and helpful as possible.
Everyone says, oh, but how long is it going to take to pay itself off? Nobody asks that about putting money into a new kitchen. Mm-hmm. Nobody asked me that before I finished my basement. Why is this a different thing? Why do we think of it in a different way?
The way I like to look at it is, you used to be paying the man. Now you are the man.
I'm the man. Wow.
Well, good
That's
sir.
another kind of power I get
There
out
you
of this
go.
whole thing.
A lot of people are afraid that renewable energy can work only with a lot of government subsidy.
Yeah, so renewable energy, yes, it gets subsidies, but fossil fuels get so much more subsidies. Penn Future identified $3.9 billion in annual subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. Solar and wind aren't even coming close to that in the state of Pennsylvania.
How far behind are they?
We're just in a fraction of a percentage of the same incentives. If you handed $3.9 billion a year to the renewable energy industry in this state, you would outcompete fossil fuel in a matter of just a few years.
May was fantastic. It was really sunny. We got much higher than expected electricity. But June was when the rain hit, and we had a lot of rain. But July has gone back to being pretty sunny again, and so I think that's pretty much on what they were expecting.
You know, an unexpected consequence of getting this installed, a behavioral consequence, is I find myself switching the lights off more often. It's not that I'm thinking that I'm going to be saving CO2 emissions here. It's more like you really want to be self-sufficient. You don't want to use your hard-won little pool of solar energy.
This is an awesome movement. This is a totally awesome movement. I think everybody should look towards this in the future.